All right, yo. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing, man?
Man, I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
What's good?
Good. So this is when's the last time we recorded, sir?
Man, it's been a minute,
Bro,
We haven't recorded in probably
6 months.
No.
about
It's
6.
been longer than that, bro.
No, it's at least 6 months. Probably
Nah,
like
6 months. It's January. 6 months would have
probably
been.
June.
It's been longer than that.
I thought we did something in the summer.
We probably man. A lot of things change, you know. I wasn't even here in the summer. I got married over the summer. I wasn't. No, we didn't record. We didn't record.
You got married.
Yeah. We did not record. We haven't recorded in like over a year.
I don't know if it's been a
Time
year.
flies, I guess.
Nah, it feel like it was cold. I think
I
it
feel
was.
like it was springtime.
No, it wasn't
Every time
springtime,
was
bro.
cold.
Brother, it was not.
Well, let's not argue about this because we recorded.
I could go. I gotta look at my files, but this is the Cavalier Convos Podcast. This is your host Jay David, aka John Edwards, and I'm with my brothers Dwayne and Reggie, and then we got my man Ryan here.
What up?
Ryan Burkett from Stratagon. We as you see, we are actually recording video now.
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's clap it up for that.
Yeah, man.
Let's clap it up for that. So, I mean,
Game.
so like things are gonna be changing, and we're excited about it. You know, lives have changed over the course of this time, and we'll get into some of that stuff as well. But I'm excited to have Ryan here because, like, you know, I've known Ryan for about 7 years. About this time,
something like that. 6, 7.
It's been and you know, and we wanted to because you know a lot of this we talk about black manhood, and we talk about you know just our culture and just some you know things that you know are wrong, but we want to kind of talk about solutions and people who are doing good things that you know people can look to and be inspired by, man. So you know, Ryan, I want you to just kind of introduce yourself real quick, man, and just go over your background, go over just some of just kind of just give us your background real quick and just about your company and just how long y'all been around, brother. And just go ahead, man.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all for the invite.
Yeah. No doubt.
You know, I get to sit on the couch for the first video. You know, we always wonder what y'all are doing on the background. So.
And he came in here clean as the board of health
Not
too.
at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't compete. Appreciate y'all having me. My name is Ryan Burkett. I am a co-founder and senior partner at Stratagon. We're an integrated marketing firm. A few offices around, one in Charlotte, one in High Point, and we've got employees scattered around outside of that. We've been in business for about 15 years or so.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Anytime you get over 10, get over 15,
That's a big deal.
you done did something.
Yeah.
We you know, we got a few more years to go. We're gonna keep climbing.
Oh yeah,
But,
keep climbing
But
now.
nonetheless, we have. I like to say that we've been in the last stage of, or the most recent stage of our growth since about 2013, 2014. And look, we're part of an organization supported by an excellent co-founder in Alex Moore. He's not with us here today. He's based up in High Point, but one of the most intelligent dudes I've ever met. So I count it as a blessing to be able to work with him every day. And we got 25 folks around us who are just grinding every day, trying to make sure our clients are happy, and more importantly, or as importantly, trying to take care of each other so that we all have not only a good experience at work, but have a nice experience to create for our families at home.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like once I started like doing some homework and digging on your company and stuff like that, and it's a black owned, 2 black men owning, big time marketing company, man. Like, kind of talk about like just that, because obviously like you cater to all different type of demographics, but just what it means to you, I would say, in regards to just having a black owned business like that, has like a reach that you guys have,
Yeah, it's interesting because we've never shied away from the fact that we're a minority-owned business, but we've also never projected or sought out opportunities on the basis of that. Yeah. So for us, it was about, look, I think it's ingrained within our culture that we have to work harder. Yeah. So regardless of where we were, regardless as to what the initiative was that we were focused on, we set out to go and do it better than anybody else that we were engaging with, or that would have been a competitor to us. So it's interesting when we start to talk about our business. Look, everybody wakes up every day as a consumer. So it doesn't matter who you are, what your line of profession is. You wake up looking to consume something, right? Whether it's your public utilities and turning on the water, or whether you're waking up thinking about going to Starbucks and getting coffee, or what. Everyone's a consumer. However, our business is about 90+% focused on the segment of businesses that are focused on selling to other businesses, which is a real key uniqueness for our value proposition, because we understand not just what it's like to be a consumer and how to get messages and how to get services and products in front of the consumer's eyes, but we also know what it's like for me to engage with you, knowing that your ultimate end game is to sell to someone else. So now I have to take into consideration as a marketer, and frankly, as a trusted advisor from a marketing consultation standpoint, what your needs are. And your needs may not be to consume. Your very well may be that your needs are to position your products and services for someone else to position for someone else. Like there's this real uniqueness when you start to think about how everything trickles down. And it's something that I think people don't think about a lot anyway. You know, we start to think about trickle down economies and we talk about it from that perspective. But the notion of how everything is connected, and the way that if you think about anything that you pick up, if we pick up this glass at the end of the table, think about all the businesses that were part of that life cycle and developing that, and think about the opportunity that's presented throughout that entire chain.
So let me ask you this, because one of the things that we want to do, obviously, is always have solutions and inspire also, right? So for you, obviously, when you start a business, you have to realize as a business person, there's a lane for what I need to do, right? I have a value to these businesses.
Absolutely.
Right? So how did you discover that? And what kind of a process was that for people that, you know, because there are young people out there that they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to go down that path, but for them, they don't know how to find their window, or
they don't see it either.
Or they can't see it.
They don't see people like that.
It's no fault of their own. They're just trying to figure out how to find their lane. So how did you and your partner, your co-founder, find the lane?
So I think that goes back to thinking about everyone that is key to what you are doing today.
Right.
If you think about the fact that you got on fly 3-piece suit, right? And you're like, yo, I'm putting on this suit today. I love this suit. Now begin to think about everyone that was part of that particular process, and you begin to see how these opportunities expand. Because it's not just the tailor who made you a bespoke suit. It's now the textile manufacturers, and those textile manufacturers were working with providers of yarn and thread, and so on and so forth, right? These things are
and the logistics, right? Who's shipping it?
That's right. Who's shipping it? Who's getting it there? Sometimes it's about who's pressing it. Like all of these things. This world is not it's not as serial as we'd like it to believe it to be. Like
say that again.
We like it to be a straight line. Like everything is a straight, but it's not. We're a series of nodes that are connected. Even in the business world, we're a series of nodes that were connected. So to your question, how did we find what we believe to be our point of difference? The reality was we were clients, and we had agencies that were servicing us in our corporate gigs, and I had consultancies. You know, I was writing $1 million POs for consultants that I was bringing in to my organization to work with my team. And the reality was I saw the level and quality of service that was being presented, and I knew that we could do, I believed that we could do better, but I knew that we could do as well. And so you begin to look at it, and it's like, well, damn, there's an opportunity that maybe it's not that particular opportunity that we would have seized upon, but it just so happened that we felt as though there was a real opportunity there. Now he and I have a pretty unique story. We were in the same grad school program at the Bryan School of Business and Economics at UNCG. And Alex comes out of a marketing background. I actually came out of a consulting background. We were in classes together, worked on projects together. And like I said before, I truly believe him to be one of the brightest dudes I know.
Right.
And the interesting thing is I get a call from him one day, and he says, hey, Ryan, I've got this lady who runs a small business, And I just want to, I want to give her some hints and tips. And I'd like you to come and sit down with me and let's go talk to her. And I'm like, well, tell me more. And he says, she's the lady that actually cleans my house. He was like, she got a small crew. I think there was a couple of them that would come with her and clean the house. And I'm like, all right, bet. So, yeah, let's go chat with her. So we go over to the business. There was a business incubator. This was before the days of co-working facilities, but similar concept. She had a small office suite, sitting down, and we're like, okay, so, tell us about the business. How long have you been cleaning and such? And she's like, oh, I've been cleaning for years. That's basically what I've done all my life. She said, I didn't graduate high school. I started my family early. She was like, but I decided to become an entrepreneur and start cleaning. And we're like, yeah, this is really cool. This lady's got, she's got a car. She's got her 2 or 3 employees. Everything's good for her. So how many houses are you cleaning? She's like, I've got 55 residences. That
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm like, whoa, hold on a second.
Money.
You doing what now?
She making money.
And she's like, oh, no. She's like, I've got 50 plus employees. I have commercial and municipal buildings throughout Guilford County. She was bringing in over, $1.3 million in revenue, I want to say, per year. Did not have a high school education, but she was a grinder.
But yeah, that's the thing, man. It's like, and that's one of the things I did want to discuss is because, like, we were talking about this actually, Mike, our executive producer, and my man Quan, who's on the, running the video for us. We were talking about, like, the fact that, like, a lot of parents, man, a lot of kids, specifically black kids, would benefit if they had, like, skills versus, like, just running to go to college, running to go get a degree, running to go get, a piece of paper. Like, like, we all know, right? Like, especially in today's, like, economy, like, the more skills that you have, right? Not certification. Like, if the certifications equal to skills, right? So you get certified in HVAC, certified in
training,
plumbing,
all
that different things, physical training, physical therapy, all that, right? Those, yes, that matters. But I'm talking about just like the idea, like, find a skill set or find something that you're good at. And, you may not necessarily need to go to college. You went to college. I went to college. Everybody, actually, all of us in here are college graduates.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, I'll be the first one to say, like, that's not the end all be all.
So it's interesting that you say that. My undergrad is in computer engineering. And again, I've got an MBA now, but the reality of it was I probably still have found myself doing something that had nothing to do with my college education. What I will say I was able to hone in college is an ability to figure out sometimes complex problems, but more importantly, just how to do problem solving overall. And that is not a requirement for success. Like, the requirement for success is the willingness to seek out and to encounter problems. It's not that you have to be able to solve them immediately.
Right.
You just have to be willing to go after
That's exactly right.
That's a good thing. With that saying, I know when you say you started your business, talk about some of them hard times. Because, when people realize, they think when they start a business, they're already going to start making all this money off the bat. Because I got a business as well. But at the same time, like you said, I got a degree in marketing in college. But at the same time, that wasn't my passion. My passion is cooking. I love to cook. So a lot of people don't do, I notice a lot of graduates, they go to get their degrry
in something they ain't doing.
Something they're not even doing at all.
That's right.
But talk about some of the hard times when you start a business, because that's what some people need to realize, that it's not going to always be ice cream and cake.
It's definitely not. Now, I'll say part of our look, first of all, we were blessed beyond measure from the perspective of the way things panned out for us. We started our business, like I said, 15 years ago, with that first client who we helped her grow her business, helped her go and acquire another business who was a supplier of hers. She did wonderful things, and it was a good opportunity for us to begin to hone in where we could provide value. And we started doing small business consulting then, but both he and I still worked corporate jobs.
Yeah.
So the grind, honestly, the biggest challenges for us have fortunately been the ability to give it everything we needed to, and still be able to handle the balance of the other things that were requirements of us. So he and I both worked up until, I don't know, we're approaching 10 years, 9 years now that we left our corporate jobs, but we were both pretty successful in corporate as well, which meant we were somehow spending 50 and 60 hours working a corporate job and still spending another 10,
50,
20,
and 60.
sometimes 30 hours a week. Like literally my schedule, and this is no lie, when we first started the business, we hired people as early as 2006, hired people to work the business. We trusted them to follow our guidance and direction almost from afar. And we were fortunate that we landed some good ones. But my schedule would be, and look, living in Charlotte, you know how it is. You had to deal with traffic.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up at 7 o'clock. I'm out of the door at 7 o'clock, fighting traffic to get uptown to the corporate gig. I would be there sometimes till 6, 7 o'clock at night, come home, kiss the wife. Luckily, she supported the vision, and I would not go to bed till 2 o'clock in the morning because I had responsibilities.
That's
it was
right.
the only way it was going to get done. And again, I had the benefit of a partner, and it's always, look, I'm not going to, it's tough for me to suggest that a business that is being established go out and find a partner. That's not what I'm suggesting. There are certain instances where that is critical, and there are other instances where it's problematic. Luckily for me, I had somebody that I know was on the other side of the phone that was working and busting their tail just as hard as I was, and that drove me.
Yeah.
And that drove him, I'd like to believe, too. So our hard times, to your question, was not necessarily about how we're going to keep the lights on. It was grind. Oh, mind you, by the way, we didn't take a dime of income out of that business for ourselves for almost 8 years. Like it was working the dream. It was not. It was working the vision. It was not about what it was. Everything we could put into it. It was nothing that we could take out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the hard times for us were, how do we balance family? How do we ensure that we're taking care of all the responsibilities that we have at home and with our jobs? Because we were very clear with each other and with everyone else in our family units and otherwise, that we were going to be ethical about the decisions we were making. We weren't going to take from corporate and give to ourselves. That wasn't it for us. So our hard times, at least on the front end, were that. Now, I'll tell you, once the organization started growing, tough times become the fact that every organization is comprised by individuals who have their own individual problems. And just managing people sometimes is difficult. But manage people. If you're an organization that is built on people, because everything we sell is up here. We sell knowledge.
You're selling
capital.
IP, basically.
We're selling. That's right.
You're selling IP.
We say we're selling knowledge capital, which means if we don't have the knowledge, we have no capital, right? So when that's the case, you can't just go and work somebody. You have to care about them.
Yeah.
You have to care about their development. You have to care about
their
health. You have to care about
and,
everything.
Yeah,
right?
man.
So those are the tough times for us are when there are things, and I'm a fixer by nature, the things that I can't fix, not just in the business, but the things that I can't fix in the extensions of the business, which are oftentimes our colleagues. You know what I'm saying? And the things that they have going on. But we've been very fortunate. We've never had to lay anyone off because of financial reasons. So we never hit a spot in our knock on wood and keep praying. Like we never, even throughout COVID, we never hit a time where it was like, we're gonna have to lay them off because we can't afford them anymore.
Yeah. Man.
So those things have not happened to us.
But I would say like in you know, now that I'm older, I do a lot more like, you know, homework and research in regards to like economics, business, things like that. And you said like, you know, a lot of companies were laying people off during COVID. But the fact that you didn't have to shows that you guys have integrity in regards to the fact of how y'all handled your finances, right? Because, like, yeah, everybody got hurt during that time. But if you had cash reserves on hand and you weren't, you know, doing stuff that a lot of other businesses was doing, you didn't have to lay anybody off because you guys were being professional, the integrity, and how important that is. Because, like, we were just talking about that before we started recording in regards to, like, I think it was before you got here, Ryan, is like the professionalism amongst us as, you know, a community, you know, even just because y'all know I coach, like there's a lack of professionalism among coaches. There's probably a lack of professionalism amongst like due to, different businesses. Like, you're here, right, recording this podcast. We've reached out to other Black-owned businesses in this area. And, response times and things like that, we're not saying anybody's specific names or anything like that, but just response, being responsive, being prompt, you know what I mean? And, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Claude, like I've talked about Dr. Claude Anderson on this podcast before, right? And he has the phrase that powernomics, right? Things that Black people need to do in order to get ahead. And then, but we do have a thing, and I call it niggonomics, where we got Black people who, operate on, just because like, you're supposed to support me because I'm Black, or even just the consumer saying, all right, because this is a Black-owned business and I'm Black, or I'm your friend or I'm your family member, I get a discount. So let's talk about, the profession. I want to talk about professionalism, how important that is, how your etiquette, your integrity.
You remember we have talked about that one time before.
Yes.
You asked for a discount from me, but you won't go over to McDonald's. Ask them for a discount.
That's killing you though, right?
And they charge the full price.
And they're killing you.
That's the problem I feel like we need to get away from. I don't mind looking out for you sometimes, but it's not going to be on a consistent basis like, hey, man, can you hook me up again? And no.
I think some of it too, right? It starts with clarity, right? And what I mean by that is, right? Because you talked about it, right? Because you deal with business to business. Right. So if I'm a businessman and I'm walking in your office, it shouldn't matter what you look like. The conversation between me and you should be, this is what I'm looking for.
Right.
And I need to know what your price is to do what it is that I need done.
Right.
That is called business, right? Not the noun business, but the verb business. That is how you do business, right? You have a conversation, you figure out who brings what to the table. Sometimes, if I walk into Ryan's office, I'm bringing money to the table. He's bringing, as he mentioned before, that knowledge capital, or as I said, IP. For those at home, IP is intellectual property. That's right. So at the end of the day, though, that is what he is bringing back. So that's what I am paying for. And so I think what oftentimes happens is that gets lost in translation because you're looking across the table at the person that looks like you, and you immediately change the approach from you give me what you have based on what I'm willing to pay for. And then it becomes a conversation about, well, what are you willing, what can I get as opposed to what am I paying for? So that is a very big difference.
Like you're trying to bargain. You're trying to bargain with them. It's one of the things. What if I give you this, what you gonna give me? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And barter, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But to me, barter is more of, you don't necessarily barter with a business that is doing something different from you than you can get anywhere else. You barter with, like, for instance, right? If you have if you don't need marketing, then if there's a marketing company that which everybody really needs marketing in certain ways.
Yeah.
But you can work with that company and barter with them. Like, you give us a little bit of this, we're going to give you all a little bit of that, everybody's good.
Right.
You do business with somebody that can help you grow and you can help them grow. There's a difference, right? Prime example, I had a situation years ago. This guy was a private-owned sanitation company. He backed into my car when it was parked. So he says, well, go to this mechanic because we barter. Because the mechanic fixes his trucks. So there's the barter, right? He takes the guy's trash away. The mechanic fixes there's their barter. That business makes sense. He's not going to barter with a damn landfill. That doesn't make sense. Right. And if I'm a landfill, I'm not going to barter with you. You need somewhere to dump that.
Right.
That's not a good barter relationship. But a good barter relationship is when you don't, per se, right, need that business for yours to work in a certain way, right? And I don't mean not need it at all, but like there's certain aspects. It's not like he can easily go to another mechanic.
Yeah.
That's why that barter works. But he can't easily go to another landfill. It might be 65 further miles away that you're trying to drive a triaxle dump truck and dump trash. That's not conducive to making money in the business. And so I think sometimes we walk into situations and we go, I'm going to try to turn this into a barter situation. No, this is not the time to do that. And I think that's what gets lost in translation.
It's interesting, like I think the notion of whether we're talking about bargaining or we're talking about negotiating or we're talking about bartering, the reality is what gets lost in translation for me, and we don't do a lot of this, so I don't know that I've got enough firsthand knowledge to say this is every scenario, but what gets lost in translation is the agreement of value. Because the reality is
that's where the price comes from.
That's right.
Why are you arguing a price? Like either you want to pay it or don't pay the price. Just keep it moving.
Or what's the return on the value? What is the return on the investment for you? Right. Like realistically, because in the scenario of the landfill, the reality is not only is the return on that particular service investment, the fact that there is a place to dump. It is that there's a place to dump within proximity, which saves them on all the other things.
Correct.
It's the road time.
Correct.
It is the
avoiding tolls if you're in the Northeast.
Correct.
All of those things.
Yo, them tolls,
the
man.
mileage on the trucks is everything, right?
Shoot.
So in that instance, the value is seen as not just what does it cost me to go dump. It's all the other components that come into
Correct.
it. And so what I see a lot of times is when people are coming and hollering at you about, look, hook me up. Long ago, I learned that the biggest challenge from a pricing perspective, people would suggest that, if you really want someone to have your product in your hand, then just give it to them for free. But the reality is that people associate, therefore, the value to be equivalent for what they pay you for.
Because if
That's
it's
exactly
free,
right.
they
pay
assume
nothing for it. They don't
low
have
value.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you price it.
And
in
your business
such a
can't
way-
stay open if you're giving it all away.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
I
that's
don't
true
know.
too. But even with
Somebody pointed out to me, and I just realized it, and I like Gucci runs no commercials. Somebody said, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I've actually never seen a Gucci ad on television.
There's a lot of brands like that that don't run any ads. They don't have to.
Because thing is, they not worried about competition like you got Nike, Adidas, they all in competition a lot because they trying to get the upper hand. You know what I'm saying? So with Gucci, they got their own thing. They so you got people that word of mouth to me it sells more better.
It's just
anything.
the value is
But
the
it's-
percent, but
That's right.
their marketing is like just people. I'd say like you see Floyd Mayweather, you see different people, individuals like Beyonce, Jay-Z, different people wearing and stuff. Dapper Dan, you know what I mean? Like high profile figures, Kanye West dropping it, name dropping it. Rappers did Gucci.
Social media sales
right.
right now.
Gucci owes hip hop reparations. You know what I'm saying?
But you got
and a lot of other
look at
brands
it,
too.
They social media. What is the world? What have we gone to now? We are more social media now. So you see, like you say, Jay-Z with a certain outfit on social media. Guess what? It's gonna be seen by the millions of people already. So guess what? They already see the outfit.
Yeah,
I
got
like that.
but
The
crazy thing is back to value, right? Yeah. Like the value that is presented is not the comfort. It's not because he's got on a dry tech that it wicks away water. That's not it.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's not that at all. It is the fact that the value is the cachet in whatever, in this case, whatever brand they're wearing. Like I'm a sneaker dude. I'm an old head. I can finally afford sneakers, so I like to buy them.
Shout out to that, right?
And so realistically, like you're speaking about Nike and Adidas and sportswear in general, the fact of the matter is Nike's not out here advertising the cachet that comes with the brand. What Nike is typically advertising is the technology, the effectiveness of their brand. They don't have to advertise the cachet because the athletes, the entertainers, they're all doing that for them. And then you look at sneaker culture. The reality is, look at the secondary markets where these sneakerheads and these resellers and all these plugs are selling stuff.
Yep.
You're not buying Cactus Jack Jordan 1s because they feel good on your feet?
No, because
like
they
the
don't.
Nike's advertising technology for people who need it or require it for this, but they don't have to do it on the rest of it because the value is the cachet. My feet hurt walking around in them ones today, but you know what? The value was the cachet that was associated.
Reggie, what
And
you
you know
say?
what's funny about that? Nah,
Yo,
it's-
Mike, can you pass? Anybody need anything to drink? Mike, can you pass me that wine, brother?
I'm good over here.
Yeah.
Like, right here.
Yeah, we ain't too professional.
point,
We got
though.
these suits on, but
Nah, to the sneaker
pass
point.
me the drink, my
To
G.
that sneaker point, though, it's interesting you say that. I got a homie. Yeah, come on in. You good? He's like, I don't want no part of that. But nah, from a just speaking to the sneaker culture piece of it, right? I got a homie. Shout out Mike Jacks. He got married years ago. I was in his wedding. And I'm not trying to call his wife out or nothing, but once they
But you
merged
are.
homes, she went to the basement and was like, why do you have 300 pair of sneakers down here? I mean, he got shoe boxes in the basement stacked up to the ceiling. You know what I'm saying? This dude got shoe boxes stacked to the ceiling. But he can sell them.
Yeah,
And he's worn them.
right.
But if he keeps them in good shape,
He's good.
it's a culture that works, right? So it's this culture that's been built. Shout out to John as he steps out. It's a culture that's been built that doesn't even matter because, like you said, certain people wear it, certain people talk about it, right? And you see the tweets and the posts about the sneakers app and all of that. We had a little snafu over there.
Let's snap food, you know.
You see
No-
those
no more
things
wine for him.
and people just continue to buy because they don't want to be left out of the shuffle.
But, right. And so therefore the value to them is the cachet. It's, I don't want to be left out of the shuffle.
Yeah.
I want them.
I mean, think about it. Let right. So, and you would get this definitely more than me, probably more than all of us up here easily as a marketing guy, right? The thing I laugh at the most, you got kids that will only wear Jordans that never saw that man play.
Never saw him play.
And don't play. And,
They don't
and,
know him
and,
as a basketball
Oh, and
player.
another
One minute.
and don't play ball.
And don't hoop.
Right, right, right.
But they will not function without apparel.
But they might say, I saw highlights of him. That's not the same.
It's just, it tells you what my point in saying that is. It tells you, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. If you can present certain things the right way as a marketer, as a brand builder, it doesn't matter what the consumer knows. They're just a consumer. And so I got you.
Right.
Let me go.
I was just going to say, marketing speak, they'll talk a lot of times, and you remember this from school. They'll talk about features, values, and benefits. Like whatever it is, product, service, it doesn't matter what it is.
Value
and part
add. That's their favorite phrase.
Part of why I say that is because the feature or the value in the product may not be what was intended by the manufacturer, but it's still important to recognize because that's what's going to sell the product.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So there have been these stories, like for instance, Velcro was built for NASA, right? Think how many times we use Velcro today. You know what I'm saying? It was, and we're not flying into space. We're not on Blue Origin. We're not on, we're not on SpaceX, and we're using Velcro because the value and the benefit of that particular product began to carry out into everyday lives such that people could see and normalize the usages of that product. They don't have to sell to NASA anymore, right?
Yeah.
So all of these things are examples as to how do you assess the true value. And if you can assess the value in whatever it is, even if you're an individual that is like going back to the original topic, if I've decided I want to be a tradesman and I don't want to go to school, how do I find where people have a service that they value that presents an opportunity for me to go into?
I like that.
And that's the thing.
Go ahead.
Nah, the thing is like and we're talking about marketing and value, and because we gear this to. I mean, this is for Black people, and this is specifically for Black men, but in regards to how you market yourself, the value that you bring, right? As men, right, we are supposed to provide something to the world, right? I always do the P's, right? Protect, provide, right? And you got to have a plan. You know what I'm saying? Because like as men, like we're we're judged based on what we produce. That's the reality of the situation. We're not judged based on anything that goes in regards to feelings. We're not even necessarily, like, men are not even judged in this world based on their morals, really. Like to be honest, like, you're not. Like, you know, some of the most famous men in the world, like, you know what I mean, that are esteemed by, like, these folks got loose morals, like, literally. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, we're just going to be honest, right?
Right.
But, like, as a man, like, you know, that natural function as a protector and a provider, and also, like, you know, producing at a high level. That's something that, like, you know, if you're talking to a 15, 16-year-old, and I coach, right? Come across a lot of young men.
I'm gonna pray
right?
for you.
And, you know,
Coaching, boy, that's tough.
But like, you know, like every Saturday I'm sitting in front of 40, 80 different kids, you know, literally around the ages of 10 to 12, you know what I mean? Different demographics, you know, a lot of them, you know, black kids too as well. And I hammer that home. Yo, you're a value in this world, regardless of what your mom tells you, because your mom loves you unconditionally. But the world don't love you unconditionally. The world don't love you because you showed up today or you woke up this morning.
Right.
The world is going to treat you based on what you produce. The world is going to treat you based on what you bring to the day, what things that you provide, what value you provide. And we have to, like, hammer that home. And I think, like, it's a good thing to kind of segue into is in regards to your, like you have to bring value. I always make it a point, like, you know, every time I take a coaching job, did this program end up in a better place when I got there versus, or when I left there versus when I got there?
You gotta leave it better than you got.
You have to leave everything as a man. Everything as a man. You have to leave it in a better place than you found it. And if you're not doing that, the world is hard, man. This life is, I mean, all this other not, like, yo, we've gotten to the point so much in society is that, like, you know, the part, like just breathing is an accomplishment. That's not an accomplishment. That's a gift given to you by your creator, to where you have to take that opportunity to actually do something, to do something with it. You know what I mean? And we got a lot of folk and, like, a lot of parents too as well, because, like I said, I'm around kids more than anybody. And if I'm gonna be 100%,
I don't know. I got you beat.
Yeah. I mean, we may be in a tie, but I'm around kids a lot, man. Around a lot of young kids a lot. And I'll tell you, a lot of parents are raising their children, if I'm gonna be brutally honest, because that's who I am, to be losers, to be failures, because they're not preparing them for reality. The world is hard and the world is tough.
I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on that. I'm not saying they raising them to be losers.
Not
losers.
Not intentionally. I'm not saying intentionally.
No. I'm not saying not intentionally. It's that sometimes as parents we had a dream, and we want our kids to live. We live in our dream through the kids. Now that's where we kind of don't let the kids be kids. Let them do what they want to do. Let them go where they want to go. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know, and I think that's part of the problem. The kids, they don't get to do what they want to freaking do. They don't get to decide what they want, because, like, yo, if I'm a kid, I don't know nothing.
Well,
they need direction. They need direction.
It's not that they don't know, but as a kid, you know somewhat what you like.
Yes, what you like.
What
yes,
you like to do. Yes. So that's why I say we force a lot of things, but we gotta let kids sometimes be a kid.
Yes,
a kid, because a lot of times they learn what they like, what they want to do. You let them experience, like. That's prime. We use sports all the time because we all played sports before. You let kids try different sports. You may love football, but he might not like football. He might want to play baseball. You know, he might want to play golf. You just got to let kids try a lot of different things.
That's not more so what I'm talking. I'm talking about, like, and when I say loser, I'm not talking about losers on the field or on the basketball court. I'm talking about losers in life.
No, I'm getting to that. I'm saying I'm getting to that, but the thing is, we try to live our dream through the kids, and that's the problem. Let kids be kids. Like, prime example, I want to ask this question about what advice you give people that want to start a business. So like, say prime example, you're raising a child. You might have your own business. Now they might not want to go to that route. You know what I'm saying? So what advice do you give? You know, even people that want to start a business, but if to that child or that kid, somebody coming out of college, what advice would you give to them? Because they might not want to go that pathway of someone that got their parents already have a business going, and they might want to do something different.
Yeah, so that's an interesting segue back. First of all, I feel where you at, John. I think we have as a culture, and I would say much older than y'all, at least a few years older than y'all.
No, that's brother right here.
He's sneaking some years in.
Here we go.
We might be
Look,
you
kept your hair though, bro. So I didn't get that luxury in life.
Hey.
It's amazing how the tallest one, the youngest one. He about 6'12". I know that's really 7 feet, y'all. I know it's really 7 feet, but he's still 6'12".
But I do think from time to time it feels as though we are spawning or have spawned into a participation trophy culture.
Well, I call it the soft landing world, right?
100%.
Everything is designed to where if this doesn't work, you can just fall into this. If that doesn't work, you can just fall into that. And it hasn't, I feel like at times the consequences of the action,
right,
the consequences of the decision,
people are not learning to deal with consequences,
pushed out of the way,
man.
Because there's another landing.
Yeah,
I think
safe landing. I'm not going to be as PC, or I'm not going to be as gentle with it. A lot of people are being raised, a lot of children are being raised to be homeless. I'm just being honest, brother. I have to, because I see kids, just adversity, the little bit of adversity that comes to
they being
their
cradled.
face.
Basically,
it's
I love when he gets messy.
Where is the exit?
No.
But the thing is that I tell kids, there's only one door. You got to go in and out of it. There's no windows you can jump out of.
So, John, you saying they being cradled?
Yes.
That's basically what you say.
They're being coddled.
So
man.
I think there's a couple of things there. Man, I didn't know we were gonna get into.
We get deep on here. We don't play.
I like
There's
it.
no
I ain't scared
boundaries
of it, though. I
here.
am not scared of it. I do think that there is this notion of there is definitely cradling and coddling. The reality is, generations before us, many generations, sometimes one generation, sometimes two generations before us, did not have. They wished for and worked for the day in which they could achieve a level to provide a better experience for their offspring.
Yes.
And so now we're 3-4 generations down from forefathers that had little and put everything into creating something. And so it begins to magnify itself generation after generation.
Right.
Where now it's just feeding upon each other. And there probably does become a point in time. I don't know when it is. I mean, I've seen, there's people all on there's motivational speakers talking about this topic all the time, talking about what their grandfather did, how their grandfather walked to work so that their father could ride a bike to work, so that whatever, so that their kids now are back at the place where
driving
they don't
BMWs.
They're driving, and then as soon as they're out of gas, they don't know how to walk to the station.
Yeah, but
that's all they've learned.
That in itself is not a problem. I think it's just the thing is you got to win. This is a competitive society, and it's not changing. It's not going nowhere. And if you're not preparing yourself to win, right? And yes, morals, ethics, the way you treat people matters, right? All that stuff matters, because how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? I tell my kids, how you conduct yourself on this basketball court is how you're gonna do life. Because if you're looking for an easy way out here, you're going to look for an easy way out there.
Bro, I'm glad you explained that was your basketball players, because I almost spit my drink out when you said my kids. I was wait a minute, what are you talking about? You must have slid what in. We didn't know about it.
We ain't know
I know you keeping it 100. I'm just saying. I just gotta keep it real.
But you know what? With that said, John, that reminds me of one football player. He retired from Pittsburgh. His son got an appreciation award. He took it and threw
that joint in the trash. Where it belongs.
He was teaching him, you don't get appreciation for just playing a sport.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to earn it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the same thing. I still have some of my trophies. My son see him, and I like, you don't see appreciation on them. You see, either we earn every one of those you see over there, it was earned. It's a difference with appreciation and earn. He like, I'm going to have more than you one day. Because I'm trying to teach him, like, you got
to go get it.
You got to go get it.
Because
it's not going to be given to you.
Because on your job, if you don't meet certain criteria, they don't give you a participation salary.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, hold on. You're right. In theory, we're going to leave sports out of this because them jokers be getting paid 4-5 years later because they participated in technically getting their ass whooped as coaches, but they still get to keep the money because the money's guaranteed. But that's not what you're talking about.
Look, that's your goal. That's your goal. Find a job.
Find a job where they gonna pay you.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Achieve greatness.
But let's be honest. But even in that perspective, right? Yeah. But even at some point, those folks that we see, you know, like we just watched like a bunch of NFL coaches get fired, right? We talked about that before the recording. At one point, whether they were assistants, working special teams,
they grinded and they made nothing.
They were excellent at that.
Yeah, they were successful.
They were excellent.
They grind to get to the point.
Everybody has limitations. That's right. Everybody has limitations as individuals, right? Some guys are smarter, right? And this is the thing too as well, because once again, I was talking to we was at some spot like 2 nights ago. Me, Mike, and Quan. Mike is our executive producer. Quan is our videographer. For everybody who don't know. Shout out. Yeah. But
they trying to stay off camera.
Yeah. But
I already said, you know somebody a beast when they come in with the branded hoodie. Yeah. That's my man Quan. I ain't gonna say the brand. I don't know what the rules is. That brand ain't paying us right now.
But we talked about the idea that, like, you know what I mean? Like, we as men, you know what I mean? We are the leaders of society. That's the truth. Like, you know, how society is moving, is going to be moving in the direction that we as men let it go. That may sound male chauvinist. That may sound, you know, what's that joint called? Toxic masculinity or whatever the hell that garbage is. I don't. Y'all know.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let it fly. Let it fly. See, this is where you finna get messy.
Hey,
get messy with it. Get messy.
Ryan didn't know what he was getting into right now. He's like, wait a minute.
Record button.
Before
we Ryan, like, hold on. Don't put this out to my clients now.
I still want Ryan to answer the question about what advice. Black men. What advice you give about starting a business?
Let me give you some more. Mm-hmm. I'm 15, 16 years old, black kid. I live in, you know, Charlotte, or I live in, you know, live in Brooklyn, or I live in, you know, Miami, or I live in like Los Angeles County. And I'm trying to, I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I know, like, you know,
I'm a college student, 15, college student, either one.
And I know that's where I want to go. What advice would you give that young brother?
So,
Reggie, while he's thinking, can you pass? I'm gonna pass this glass over to you. Give me a refill.
You get that.
Give me a little of that brown. Yeah, I want the moonshine.
You want the brown stuff? I don't drink that stuff no more, man.
All right, I want to come back to John's comment.
We ain't saying no names because they ain't paying us to say their names.
Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead. Do your thing, brother.
No. So
tell the truth.
Advice. So a couple of things. I think when you asked earlier, you said, in a world where, if given the opportunity to carry on and earn a position or earn a job or earn that's a tall order.
Hey, y'all. EP about to have him drunk. Drizzy drunk. Hey, I'm passing this down because I don't want no part of that.
Go ahead and pass me another bottle of H2O over there. Go ahead and pass me another one of those too.
So
as you were saying, I'm sorry.
Nah, you're good. So what I would say is that, first of all, it is your life. You have to live out your life. And the one thing I impose upon my kids, and especially my oldest son, who's now 15, is that
you older than us.
He plays sports.
15-year-old.
He plays sports.
He plays sports.
Well, he played football.
He played ball.
Oh,
He
boy,
played
man.
basketball.
That's my
He played
guy,
basketball.
man.
He played
You
basketball.
older than
He don't
us.
play
That's my
basketball.
guy.
He's
We
15.
I'm
older than us.
I'm gonna get him right.
I had him.
I'm gonna get him right. I got him. I'm gonna get him right. I'm gonna get him right.
We do track. Let's get right.
Get it. Let's
Yeah,
go.
we
Look
gonna
at
get him right, man. He gonna be good.
But it is his life. And one of the things I will say is, like, especially with my generation, the expectation was to achieve heights that were symbolic, that we did not have representation in our community, in the black community. So it was go and be an engineer, go and be a doctor, go and be a lawyer. Because the reality is we didn't have that density in our community. And so I went, and it's funny because you talk to people and they're like, oh, yeah, you got your engineering degree. And it's like, yeah, I did, but I'm not an engineer. And they're like, oh, but you still got your engineering degree. You all right.
Good job.
And yeah, good job. And look, I get it. The reality is we didn't see those things when I was a kid. You had some of those examples. You didn't have enough of those examples. So you tried to achieve what felt like the star that you were reaching for.
I'm gonna let you get right back to it. I think it's interesting you say that. Not only did people not see those examples, but those examples were not glorified, right? Just because, and I mean this in the most respectful way, just because you're a marketing executive doesn't mean you're any less important than any other title, 100%. Right, on this earth. And I think that's what gets lost in translation sometimes, right, is the whole concept of these different roles or these different career paths that are not glamorized, right? We talk about doctors and lawyers and professional athletes and entertainers because they're the salaries, if you will, are public, right? So we hear that they make $1 million. We hear that they make $10 million. We hear that they get $15 million to do one movie, right? We don't necessarily hear, and I'm not suggesting you reveal it now. Right. We don't hear Ryan makes XYZ amount of dollars, so why not be a marketing executive? And I think that's part of the problem. We get caught up in the money.
I say this thing.
We get caught up in the money and not caught up in the happiness that comes with doing what
let me
go like you said, live your life.
So Ryan, make your point, and then I have something to say in regards to that.
So the reality was the generation before us, it was about the title. It wasn't like doctor, and I'm not knocking any doctor that's out here. As a matter of fact, I think doctors probably deserve to be paid.
The Bible says honor a physician. So.
That's right. So
agreed.
So, but the reality is, you were told to go be a doctor. And I know tons of doctors who went out and became family practitioners or general physicians. And the reality is their debt load from what it took them to achieve that title is so enormous that it pains me to know what they're having to go through. But they did that because that was the goal that was set specifically for my generation. I was born in the 70s. So my generation, was... you keep trying to play like you in my generation. You ain't there.
I'm on the border on the 70s.
Y'all right there, man. I'm telling y'all right there.
Look, it was. I hate to say title chasing, but some of it was. There's a clout associated with the title,
and that still exists
we didn't
today.
have that before.
And it still exists.
But it has transformed some because now it is not just about the title. Now it is about the lifestyle, or now it is about some other thing that has a quantitative value. So I bring all that to say, one, as I told my son the other day, he said, Dad, what if I took a gap year after high school? I'm like, dude, great experience. I didn't have the luxury of that. If that's what you want to do, let's do it. You pick where you want to go travel, go figure it out, because I have seen too many examples of people who did not go through traditional education and made more than I'll ever be able to accumulate in my life. And it's not about the dollars, but sometimes it is about the lifestyle that can be presented through those greenbacks, right?
And
you know what I'm saying?
Peace of mind.
And generational change and impact. Like it's all those things. Yeah. Like, so we were talking earlier about trade school, like for me to come to find out that on average, a pest control truck is netting out about $100,000 a year. One truck, about $100,000 a year. Wow. That's at capacity is run about $100,000 a year profit for a pest control company, right? Wow. Now maybe it's a little bit of stale data there, but the reality is every time you see this truck moving around here,
it ain't that.
And you see the people who are driving them and are doing the spraying and so on and so forth. The reality is, there's an opportunity that existed there that they could have went, got certified. They're already certified. Heck, now they just got to get somebody like one of us who's around them to say, look, I can give you what I can give you. Why don't you go out and do your thing? Right? Like that's how you now match. My son first of all, he's one of the smartest kids you'll ever meet. He's an IB program. He is 4.0, never made below like a 92 in the IB program. Okay. Just hyper intelligent, and that's
why they say student athlete.
That's right.
Student first.
That's right.
Yeah. And athlete second.
That's right. But he is. Everybody's like, dude, you're so smart. You should go into STEM. You should go into math. You should go into science. You should go into technology. You should go into engineering. He's like, but I love history, and I'm like, well, if you love history, what are you going to do with that? And he's like, but I know I can't go into history because the reality is I probably won't be able to make enough as a high school teacher or even a college professor in history to substantiate the lifestyle that I want for my kids. And my thing is this.
That's not true.
I look at, well, maybe or maybe
but
not.
I want you to finish and then I'll chime in.
So that's when I looked at him and I said, you know what? Same thing can be said about journalism and all these other. I said, look at Ta-Nehisi Coates, one of the foremost authorities on Black culture today. The reality is I'm sure he makes more than I'll ever be able to count. The fact of the matter is he turned not only his passion, but his calling into his opportunity.
But he's excellent. He's excellent.
But he's excellent at it. Excellent. He ain't participation trophy when it comes to what he does, right?
Hell no.
So, and look, he's excellent when he can write about culture, and all of a sudden Marvel comes and says, will you write about comics? And he's writing Black Panther comics. Like, who can do that? Yeah. Who can write about culture in one moment and you're in the whatever, New York Times or whatever, writing op-ed pieces, and then you're writing comic strips? Because he was able to find a way to pursue not only his passion, but his calling in a way that one is in pursuit of excellence. And when you demonstrate excellence in damn near anything, you're going to find the opportunity to present the lifestyle that you need.
I was go ahead. What I was gonna say in regards to what Reggie and Ryan was saying is that, like, and then especially when it comes to like this thing in regards to, like, you know, your son made a good point. He said, like, I know I'm not gonna be able to make the money. What I tell kids to do, I said, go, because at the end of the day, as men, and specifically Black men, you're judged based on what you could produce. You know the income levels. You know the wealth gap levels. This idea that, you know, we are going, like, you know, we're just going to let our kids do what they want. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but I tell guys, go get the money, because with the money, when you get that money, it'll fund the passion that you have. If you have a passion for history, if you have a passion for journalism, marketing, if you're making money, just like you do, you work corporate America.
Yeah.
For how many years, brother?
A lot more than I wanted to.
Right, but the sacrifice that you made was worth it to where now you're doing what you love to do, and you don't have to go back there ever again.
Correct.
But on top of that, like when you said something about teachers and things like that, you can still make good money.
Yeah, you can
as a teacher. But if you're doing something you love to do, a lot of times you don't look back as, okay, I'm not making that much, because you learn how to budget it. You learn how to do things differently. You learn how to move different. You know what I'm saying? Because when you love to do something, you don't look at the dollar signs a lot of times.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you, because I can speak from personal experience. Mm-hmm. For 5 years, I did something I absolutely loved, right? And then, like, the first 3 years was great. The last 2, I was freaking miserable. The reason why is because I got to a point where, like, all right, like, I'm doing what I love. I love coaching. I love playing. I love teaching the game. Mm-hmm. I love mentoring. But I'm not making money. Like, I'm making all right money, but I'm not making money to where, like, I can have a family. And let me finish, right? Mm-hmm. And then also it was like, what is after this? I've accomplished everything at this particular stage that I needed to accomplish. So I stopped freaking coaching. You know, Reggie, I stopped coaching. Yeah. Y'all all know this. Yeah. I stopped coaching for 3 years because I was miserable. Because, I was doing what I love, but at the same time, like, it wasn't providing the things that I need. Because, like, I'm more than basketball. I want to travel. I want to see the world. This is not funding any of this stuff. I want to do podcasts. I want to do these different things. This thing cannot fund those different things. So I got the heck away from it.
Well, and I think that means that there's a time and a season for everything.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Amen. Now, first of all, I think everybody agrees. Well, one, let me say this. I believe that teachers across the profession, on average, should be paid way, way more than they are because they are nurturing the generation. Future. That's right.
And I think you get a lot better value of education if you pay them more.
I would tend to agree with you. And I do believe that there are a lot of people, for whatever reason, that are in teaching that probably that's not their calling, that's not their passion, that's not where they should be.
Need to be there.
So that there's a bit of a catch-22 there that exists. But I think there is a reality to the fact that my needs today may be very different than what my needs were 5 years ago and what they will be 5 years from now. Like now my needs, when I first started this business, the reality was my wife and I were doing well, and it was more a hobby/passion project for me than it was a requirement in order to achieve what I needed to achieve. I could have seen a day at that point in time that I would have been in corporate America the rest of my life, and I would have probably gotten to a place where I was just cooling and chilling, and I would have been fine. Now, when my kids come along and I see in 2006 when my oldest comes, and I see now that part of what my mission should be as a man or as a parent should be establishing at least a foundation and path for him, then it begins to change. So my season changed then to where now it's like, okay, I might have been good with where I was at financially. I might have been good where I was at corporately from a career standpoint, all those things. But now my season just changes a little bit because maybe I need a little bit more, or maybe I need a little bit more flexibility. Like there's a lot more things than just money. Trust me. And if it is time flexibility, if it is money, if it is, heck, some of it is just influences around your kids and your family. You know what I'm saying? All those things come in to be factors into your what and your why. And I think that's where sometimes the notion of what our parents thought we should focus on or what they wanted us to focus on has gotten mistranslated over the generations. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's something you said there, and I talk about it a lot, is the why. Yeah. And I think the hardest thing for people to do, it's twofold. It's finding their why, and they get impatient in finding the why. You may not necessarily know your why at 22. Right. It may take you until
it's going to take
35.
you some time. Yeah,
that's right.
But the reality,
and it may change.
Might take longer than that.
That's what. At some point, your purpose is going to be revealed.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. But at the end of the day, you got to find your why.
And you might have to fail in finding your why a few times.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you do, that doesn't mean you screwed anything up. That's just part of life.
Well, that's not when you want your participation trophy. That's when you pick yourself up.
Yeah. And
you got to have the right kind of support system.
Yeah. That's true. I always tell, that's why I do training and everything with kids. I always tell them, you're not going to win every time. You know, you're going to have some hard times. You're going to fall. But it's all about how you respond. If you're resilient, you know what I'm saying? It's how you respond. If you took a loss this game, how you going to respond next game? If he scored a touchdown on you that first drive, how you going to respond the next drive? You know, it's things like that. How you respond. I tell them, I coach kids and everything, but I teach them, I'm like, hey, everything we teach you on the field is a way of life. It's how you respond.
It's a microcosm, man.
If you gonna,
it's a mirror.
Yeah,
sports is a mirror, man.
Take that touchdown he scored on you and take it like, man, and then the rest of the game you down. Then in the way of life, you're gonna be the same way when you fail on certain things. But if you bounce back after he scored a touchdown, coach, I got it. Short memory. They always take. I was a DB.
Yeah.
They always say we got short memory.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We get scored on, short memory, move on.
Next play.
Next play. And when you bounce back, that's the same thing you do on the field. Same thing when you're in life. You say, hey, I failed, but you got to be able to bounce back. Same thing I try to teach kids. You got to put them together.
It comes down to taking the lesson, right?
Yeah.
Everything, there's a lesson that can be taken out of everything.
Facts.
So part of it is you take the lesson and you use that as an additional piece of information to take that next step in your life. Because if you continue to dwell in that space, you're going to stay there, right? And so you have to be able to, I'm not saying you can't mourn, because we all need time to mourn.
Yeah, you eat that. Like you feel that. You feel that. You take
but
it and you accept it. Yes.
Fuel, right? It's a twofold process. And so I think, we can't, I'm not going to sit there and tell people to go fail on purpose. But I will tell them if failure happens, it just means that's the lesson. Extract it out of there and go to the next thing.
Well, that's the only way you learn is through failure. You do not learn through your successes, first of all.
No.
Because if you experience success, all you're going to think about is to do the same thing you did to get there.
That's it.
So you're going to learn through your failures. But the one thing I'd say, just to, if you were to say to me, what's the single thread that I heard amongst what the three of you just said? Yeah. You said one of my favorite words, which is resilience. The reality is we are born resilient.
Yes.
Yeah.
No kid ever tries to walk, falls, and says, heck no, I'm going to stay down here because I done fallen and I don't want to fall again. No kid ever does that.
Ever.
No kid in good health, God willing, they never do that. True. So to your point, resilience is an incredible yet innate characteristic that exists within us, as long as the adults that are nurturing us don't take the need for that resilience away. Yes. Back to raising kids that are going to fail. Like if you take that need away for them to be resilient, if I pick them up every time and it's like, oh baby, you've fallen when you tried to walk, let me just carry you. They're never gonna walk.
And there's parents that do that though too.
Absolutely. Heck, I'm probably guilty sometimes myself.
Yeah, but think about this though, right? And me and Mike were having a conversation. We went out to eat, and then
Shout out Big Mike orders all the food.
Executive producer.
Cleans out.
Well, we were having a conversation, right?
He ready to eat again
because
we better go that.
Because I've changed.
Smallest dude in the room, biggest cup. That's unbelievable.
Facts, this dude here, they go order like, that boy eat like nobody.
Literally one in here.
But we were talking in regards to as far as my faith and how certain changes I made in my life, right? And then it goes back to when you're talking about children in regards to we're born resilient, or the Creator, I would say, put that in us, because when you are making a change in your life, or you're deciding to come out of one phase in your life, you're deciding to come out of darkness into light, or you're deciding to come out of a dark space into a space of light, or you're deciding to change negative behaviors into positive. Think about when you're born. The first thing that comes out is the head, right? Or supposed to. The first thing when you are being reborn, right? Born again, right? Let's think about that. Your mind has to change first. You heard something, or something triggered something up here. So that comes out first. Then what comes out? The body, right? Then once what's in your mind, it triggers something in here, and then your heart starts to change. And then your body, and what the mother has to do, they have to push you out. So as a parent, right? Yeah, you have this child, you have this life that you're responsible for. You have to direct it. You have to push it in a direction, not necessarily trying to shape its life in, kind of systematic order, but it's more so if this child has a passion for something, how can you direct it? How can you push that child? How can you move that child in the direction that it needs to go? Not even necessarily all the time where it wants to go. Because, when when I was a kid, I wanted to do a lot of crazy stuff. And if my parents would have said like, yo, it's your life, do what you want to do, you know, that's a bad parent. You know what I mean? So it has to be a balance.
It's got to be the right balance.
But you know, that's why it's some structure. You know what I'm saying? Like, prime example, I did some things. I'm a PK. You know,
that boy preacher child, preacher kid.
Preacher kid. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time,
he might well be a bishop at the same time. Looking like a deacon with that suit on.
All right, Reverend over there. But at the same time, being a PK, my father, I wasn't strict. Everybody thought, oh, your household strict. No, he had his rules.
Right.
Of course, household rules, but at the same time, I still had to live my life. You know what I'm saying? He can only teach me so much, but at the same time, I still got to go my own way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We can only, as a parent, we can only embed certain things into your child. You teach them certain things. They always. I look at this. I was one of them kids. I strayed away for a while, but I always come back to my roots that was taught to me. You know what I'm saying? I always come back to my roots. And the thing is, as a parent, I have 4 kids, 3 boys, 1 girl. You know, as a parent, we can only teach them but so much. But at the same time, they gonna still do their own thing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, like I got 2 grown ones, and I tell them, hey, everybody like, well, what you gonna do? I said, they grown now. They gotta learn. I don't taught what I had to teach. You know what I'm saying? I don't teach them enough and everything, but now they got to learn on their own.
Yeah, they're adults.
You know what I'm saying? They're adults. So it's certain things as a parent, you just got to teach them.
You got to instill the stuff in them, man.
Yeah,
and hope that they always remember it.
And 9 times, I look at it this, 9 times out of 10, kids, you always come back. After once you get older, you experience your life.
You may mess some stuff up too, and be like,
some things I done did a lot.
Of course,
you know what I'm saying. But at the same time, I started coming back to where I was raised at. You know what things I was taught. You know, when my father and them taught, my mother and them taught. You know, I come back to that always. You know what I'm saying, because it happens. Mm-hmm. You know, it's gonna happen. And, you know, but at the same time, it's like you say, they didn't teach me to fail. They didn't teach me like, oh, you gotta be successful. You're gonna be a professional football player. No. I played football, I played basketball, I did soccer, I did track, I did baseball. I did all those sports. Went to college, played football, and ran track. You know, I played a couple of years of arena football. You know, I had fun. You know, after that, I did the military. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I had to learn my way. You know what I'm saying? But it was one of them things, they let me go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't force, like some parents be forced to like, oh, he's going to be a basketball star. He's going to be a football star. You got 100-some kids that's trying to graduate from college, that's trying to get into the NFL, NBA, NBL, hockey, anything sports you name. But like you was telling me, we was talking about earlier, parents are teaching their kids to fail sometimes because we put.
I wouldn't even say sometimes
it's not fail, but it's kind of like homeless because we teaching them that you're gonna be this person, you know what I'm saying, and then we cuddle them.
But you're not gonna have to work.
Yes.
Like whatever a child wants to do, right? Whatever anybody in this life, you want to do something. Like you said, brother, you work 80-hour weeks. This is a man, right? And this is what we need to be telling, you know, because like as men, oh, yo, that's old school, blah, blah, blah. I mean,
nah, it's now.
Yo, I don't care what society says, what's going on now. Like, hey, like if I got to work 80 hours to provide for my family, to put a roof over their head, to feed them,
to get to a certain
as
point.
A man, that is that's what you were made to do. Like, yo, that's male show. Oh no, that's old school tradition. Oh, whatever you want to call it.
So I don't care. Here's what I say to that, because I think the reality is this: as much as, first of all, I got a lot of appreciation from my wife, because when I decided I was going to step out and quit a corporate gig that was paying me more than I ever thought I'd make, she was the one that said, yep, and I got you, right? I'm here. I got your back. That's and good. Even when I left my corporate gig, I still didn't take a salary from Stratagon for over a year, right? So she had my back. Now, what I would say that I agree with you on, because look, I think that women, and specifically black women, have proven over the course of the last X amount of years the power that they can bring to the same environments that we are. However, I will say this. The reality is, from my perspective, it is upon me to prove my worth by contributing. What did you say your P's were? Providing, by planning, by protecting it. That now, if my wife chooses to do those same things, I will call her the queen of our household, and I will respect her equally, which is exactly what I do. However, I was born in this, and this is not a conversation or a comment about sexual orientation, and I'm not talking about that. But in this case, I was born a man, and for me to be born a person, I have to think about those same 3, 4, 5 P's for my loved ones and the ones that I care for. And I think part of the challenge is that it's not just men, but if right now our focus is talking to men so that they understand the perspective that they have to share in order to be successful for those around them, not just for themselves, but for those around them.
Not to be, and I'm gonna use the term.
I'm sorry.
Not to be food out here, because like when you are not on top of your game as anyone, man, woman, anyone, you become, and this is just a reality of life, that this is
you're either gonna devour or
you're prey. Your food.
Let me say it. I'll say it for you. You either got a seat at the table or your ass is on the menu.
Yeah, you're on the plate.
Real simple.
Yeah.
You're right.
Real simple, dog. You either got a seat at the table or you on the menu.
You're being cooked. You're on the plate.
Yeah. Because like you say, the P's, I always use proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
7 P's of preparation. Holla at me.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, people don't realize I use that all the time. They like, well, what you mean? I said, listen to what I'm telling you. Proper planning. That means you proud of what you doing. You planning. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You gotta put some energy into it. Don't do it just cause like, oh, I gotta go do this. I gotta do this. You know what I'm saying? Put some pride into it. You know what I'm saying? What you put into your project or whatever you put into whatever you do is what you're gonna get out of it.
Regardless of what it is.
Yeah, regardless of what it is. Yeah. Like you say, if you put
painting the house, vacuuming the floor, whatever,
effort, you're gonna get lackadaisical effort response. You know what I'm saying? If you put your all into it, sometimes you're not gonna get the best response. If you put your all into it,
that's life.
That don't mean you fail.
And that's life.
That don't mean you fail.
Well, that goes back to the experience, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like sometimes the best experience is failure.
Yeah.
Damn right.
So
you gotta learn.
I learned a lot from losing, man.
That's right.
Because
I learned a lot from losing.
Oftentimes success allows people to think that there are no hurdles ahead.
But think about this, right? We got 2 teams on the floor, right? Both of them have not practiced all week. Both of them have not done any extra work, nothing, right? And they both show up, right, to the game. One team is going to win that game.
Correct.
True.
One team is going to win. Both ill-prepared, but one team will win that game.
Who wanted the most?
But think about it, right? Neither team was prepared. Neither team did anything to prepare to win that game. Neither team was fit to win that game in reality, but somebody won. Success or not even success, winning, right, is not necessarily an inclination of that you are improving or doing the things that you need to be doing.
We were talking before we started recording about preseason, right?
Yeah.
Preseason. What better example is it?
Yeah, we see it all the time. Somebody will go undefeated in the preseason. And usually they end up with the first damn pick in the draft.
Right, exactly.
Let's do the math, y'all.
Right.
Now y'all done got me. Now I done got country. I sound like I'm from Memphis for real. At the end of the day,
what part of Memphis? North Memphis, South
Memphis, baby. Don't do me like that. But at the end of the day, it often happens the team that dominates the preseason, they end up the first pick in the draft, right? And so at the end of the day, you have to look at it and remember, like John said, it's about the process oftentimes. It's not necessarily the quick result, right? It's sometimes it's the marathon, not the sprint. Am I wrong?
Well, that and you start smelling yourself.
I know he say South Memphis. He really from Mississippi, but I ain't gonna say nothing about that.
What?
You smell yourself after too many wins.
Yeah.
That team that goes 0-4, they have gotten their butts chewed out after every loss in the
Yes, they've been being.
And guess what? It made them better going into the regular season.
Every time.
I done seen, like you say, I done seen some teams go 9-7 in a season because they got their butt handed to them at the beginning.
Yo, I remember
they turned their things around because they realized we ain't got nothing else to lose.
I
I
remember a few times in preseason, man, a couple years back when I was coaching at the college level, we would lose. We would make it so we lost the scrimmages on purpose. Like as coaches, we would do that.
Look.
Because we wanted to make so we just gave them a reason to like, y'all not doing enough. Y'all not working hard enough. Y'all not doing it. We were talking
about Jordan earlier. There's this story that exists. Chuck Daly with the Dream Team. Yep. And there's this game that everyone talks about.
The scrimmage against the college players.
The scrimmage against the college players.
Yep. Yeah.
And they swear out. Now, first of all, the college players whooped their tail. Yeah. But part of it was Chuck Daly was running his rotations such that he knew that he was going to create conflict on the floor and give college boys not only an opportunity, but a strong likelihood that if they played well, they'd be okay. Mm-hmm. And that after that, they beat everybody by 147 points.
Yeah. I remember that.
You sometimes you got to light a fire.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? It's a different lighting a fire to spark something that is going to benefit somebody. You know, you see a lot of people light a fire that's because they want to cause drama. But you got to light a fire that is going to benefit them, let them realize some things and wake them up. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people need that wake up, you know, in the long run. Like they say, sometimes a team get a punch in the face. They start off the game slow. They get hit quite a few times in the first half. Then all of a sudden, the second half, they come out a different team because they had realized, like, hey.
Well, that's sports and business, right? That's every walk of life, right?
It.
Like
everything.
At the end of the day, it's real hard to coach success.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If I'm the owner of the business and my director of business development, my salesperson, right, keeps killing it and I'm giving him $150,000 bonuses, I can't call him in my office and say, hey, you need to do X, Y, Z. But he going to look at me and say, man, I'm the highest grossing person in this company. Why are you talking to me? Right? And so sometimes you have to create a reason to coach. And so I think the people that are the best at what they do, to me, are oftentimes the ones that have a little bit of what I call mirror time. You spend some time in that mirror, you look yourself in the mirror, and you're saying to yourself, I hit this number, I hit that number. But you're also saying to yourself, you hit that number because that customer is going to buy from me anyway. And so what am I really doing to add value to that relationship? Am I doing the things that I'm supposed to do? Because if the answer is not, then you got to look yourself in the mirror and say that.
Yep.
And so you continue to improve. Yep. That is very hard to coach somebody to do on their own, but the great ones do it for themselves.
I got a question for Ryan. Will you take a person?
Man, that man ain't in the interrogation room. Let that man breathe.
But you know, it's a good question.
Hold on, he said, "Will you take a person?" I'm thinking if I'm allowed to tell the truth on this one. Go ahead.
No. Put it like this: will you take a person? You got a person that they know it all, they know everything, or a person that's willing to learn. Which one will you prefer to have?
Oh, the ceiling is far greater on someone who has a growth mindset than someone who has a fixed mindset and believes that they know it all.
Say that one more time.
And part of that is, for real, The ceiling is higher with a growth mindset, someone who believes that the benefit that they can gain is directly proportional to the information that they can digest and apply.
Boy, you better go,
Right?
dog.
So
That boy out here spitting on this thing.
look, I got that one from my wife, so don't I'm gonna give her credit on that one. But
real talk to the
You
missus.
better, you better give her credit.
For real talk. It is, and look, I think it's we've been paying this consultant to come in and talk to us about personality types and personality styles. And so what I've learned is I'm a D, and that means that in layman's terms, it means I generally have a want to either see it done right or do it myself. Oftentimes I can be pretty direct and intentional, but you tend to think about this personality style as the person who is like the alpha male in the room. Like that's the way that I'm wired. And one of the things, and the reason I say my wife points this out to me is because it's not that I think I know everything, but when I get the sense that I have a way that I think will work, I want to get it done and get it over
Quickly.
with. There's no reason to
Right
belabor
away,
it. I
yeah.
believe that this works. And her thing is, I get it. Sometimes that is true, but think about the investment that can be made by listening or exploring and growing in other opportunities. It might not make this particular path faster. It might not make your path to today's answer faster, but it may be the investment you need for the path for tomorrow, which makes it conquerable as opposed to, like, I might not have the answer to the problem I haven't seen yet, but if I think about or listen or engage with others today, even though I feel like I got the answer, if I make that investment today, it might be that is the experience I need to help me solve the problem I haven't seen yet.
What you said, I wish I could get my ball players to hear that. Yeah, because when I asked you that question, because when you got somebody that's willing to learn, or a person that knows it all, because the person that knows it all or think they know it all,
Because nobody knows it all.
That's right.
they
They're
gonna try to
done.
overtalk you anyway.
They're done.
But
yeah.
a person that's listening, like, I'm there. Okay, you teaching them. When you teach them stuff, they willing to learn. They absorbing everything. Even though you like, hey, I need you to find your own path. But at the same time, they absorbing what you're learning. Like you say, it's no ceiling. You know, I know.
Y'all saw that?
I know. Don't be watching the game.
But the thing is, I saw that, and I heard the game at the same time. No, I heard your game. I heard your game, and I saw that
is
game.
crazy. Chris Paul crazy.
I'm
man.
seeing all of it at the same time.
No, I didn't see it. I was dialed in. I was trying to hear what he said.
When you was talking about the Greensboro area earlier, that's where that boy from.
Yeah.
And he just did something filthy on
So
Saturday.
we got the
what's
game
the
on.
sale,
The game's
I'm just
on.
telling you, dog.
And Chris Paul is
People don't know. We
nuts,
watching the
bro.
game a little bit. You know, we
Yeah.
ain't gonna say which game, but
It's on.
Chris Paul crazy. So I wanted to, with this last question I have for you before we wrap it up, brother, was like that. First of all, like two things. What does it take to have longevity? Because like clearly, y'all have had longevity in regards to y'all business. Second thing is like, how important is family in regards to the reason you get up every day and do what you do? So longevity and the second.
So, I think longevity for me, and I'll speak for myself, I won't speak for Alex. I think the longevity.
You got to get Alex
is
on here.
We need to get Alex
Yeah,
on
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Next time I come back, I'm dragging Alex with me. I think longevity, well, one, I don't believe that I am where I should be at this point in my career either. Which means
After all the stuff that you've done, right?
Oh, I got so much to learn.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
week.
yeah.
Is it that you seeking more?
It's
'Cause
in here, man.
It's just like you done been successful, but you're not gonna stop here. You just always want to keep climbing.
So I'll give you an example. We set goals, just high level goals a while ago. It's like, yo, we want to hit Inc. 5,000. We both respected the periodical Inc. magazine. They do a 5,000 fastest growing companies in the nation every year. Put every one of them in the magazine, the whole nine. I want to hit Inc. 5,000. Like, that was our goal. We hit Inc. 5,000 2 years ago. And now this is a blessing and a curse. We hit Inc. 5,000 2 years ago, and I didn't feel comfortable celebrating it because I knew we had more than just that in us. We hit Inc. 5,000 consecutive years in a row, 2 times in a row. I had not once have we said we hadn't popped a bottle, we hadn't raised a glass for a toast, we haven't celebrated. Now that's the curse part. Like, I do believe that there is a balance where I need to find time to celebrate
your wins,
our wins.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do as a man.
It is a very hard thing to do. But that said, like, part of what keeps me going longevity wise is I do want to be better. I want to learn more. I want to know more. Some of that is about that value. Like, I truly believe that the value that I can provide is by having expertise in something that someone else. I'm going to come to y'all for things. I would hope that y'all will come to me for something. The question is, what is that something, and how do I grow that something? So that is what is kind of driving. Now, the other thing is, and you bring up family, some of it is continuously trying to make sure that I can do what I can do to not only not be a burden on the generation behind me, but ideally to build something for them. Like, and that's not to say I don't want them to work hard for their own. I'm not trying to silver spoon anybody, but there is this notion of how do we do something that I'll give you another example. Like, my grandfather was raised in High Point. My mother was born in High Point. It's a 9th largest town city in North Carolina. Yeah. It's right outside of Greensboro, right? Yeah. My grandfather, born, raised, he was a preacher himself. So he was in and out of the city with his appointments, but came back there. And when we started exploring opening an office, we had office space in Greensboro, and there's this huge redevelopment that's going on in High Point. Like, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars going on. I wanted, like, everything to prove to my grandfather that the man who grew up not only in segregation or pre-segregation, well before civil rights movement,
around that time,
but also the one who tells me all the stories about the differences. I wanted to prove to him that me, his black grandson, could do something at High Point that was not only making a difference, but would also put a foothold in to say, it's not just y'all's anymore. Like, this is High Point's. And black people made a substantial amount of investment in High Point. So that was something that continues to drive me too.
You said make a change. Basically.
Make a change, but also make it was also some of it was, I hate to say monumental, it was more elemental. It was more about, now there's something that it shows that more can happen. Yeah. Now there's a catalyst there, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And so a lot of it was just out of the pride of wanting him to feel that way. And unfortunately, he passed before our grand opening and before we opened our building there. But he's still watching. That's right. But, like, those are the things that drive me for longevity. So that's almost tying family and longevity together. Like, this isn't about me. This isn't about am I ever going to be able to push, the fastest car or whatever. Like, those things, it sounds nice for about 2 minutes, and then it's like, nah, really, what am I doing for the generations behind me, my family behind me? That's going to make a difference.
Legacy, man.
It is legacy. That's right.
I think that's what our grandparents and great-grandparents or whatever, they was looking at the same time. What can we do?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah, the thing is,
I look at all that, and that's
this
why
thing is hard. Like, we just got to be honest. It's hard, but it's like, it's worth it, yo. If you have the right type of mentality, if you believe, like, in yourself, and you have something outside of yourself, right? Family, your creator, God, your wife, your children, the people in your community, man. And I'm big on community. It's like, if you have those things, if you have those things as as a motivating factor in regards to what you're doing, you eventually, if you keep that on your mind, you will be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing to remember, as you were saying that, one thing that kind of hit my brain, and I want to leave the people with this, is I think y'all will understand this premise. Everybody you meet is either about to go through the storm, they in the storm,
or they just went through it.
That's right.
or they just came out the storm.
That's right.
That's the reality of the situation.
That's right.
That's just what it is. That's the truth. And so I lead the people with that. That's my last word.
Hey, I got one last thing, Ryan. I know he always asks me a question.
You got this man in the interrogation room, dog.
What advice? I know I think John said we're gonna wrap up in a minute. What advice you give to anybody that's out there starting a business? How important it is to the community, being a black owner and everything. What advice you got to give to them out there?
So, couple of points. 3 points. Let's call it 3 points. First of all, identify the opportunity, which means find a place where you can contribute value and contribute it in a. I was talking to this guy who had written a book, and I cannot recall his name, so forgive me. I know he's gonna see this because this is gonna blow up. But when he sees it, I want him to know I would have given him copyright on it. He said, people talk about their value proposition. He was like, but what they need to be seeking is what is their differential value proposition. And what that means is, don't tell me what you can do good. Tell me what you can do better than anybody else.
Yes.
Because if you can tell me that, now I know why I need to go with you versus somebody else.
Yes.
So I'd say look for opportunities, follow your passions. Look for where you have experience, but look to create a differential value that someone else
Separate
cannot.
you.
Separate yourself from everybody else. Good way to boil that down. So that's point one. Figure out how to separate yourself. Point two is really around the resiliency. I'm glad you brought that word into it, which is, and I'm glad John brought up plan too. I'm not a big business plan person. What I am is planful of having resources around me. And that doesn't always mean dollar resources. Some of that means having the people resources around you that can pour into you and share with you the experiences. And also sometimes that means sharing with you the pathways to success. But have the resiliency such that you know and anticipate that there will be, I'm not going to say failure, but you're going to have bumps in the road. And when you have those bumps in the road, on the other side of the bump, just like when you ride over a speed bump right now, you know you're a little bit faster coming off the speed bump than you were going on it, right? Mm-hmm. It is the nature of any type of hill. There's a little bit of gravity. When you come off that speed bump, that bump in the road, come off of it with so much speed and headwind that you're ready for the next one. So that's the second point. Expect that. Expect it, which means that when you hit it, say, I know you said it a second ago. You either in the storm, you're either getting ready to go to the storm, you're in the storm, or you just came out of the storm. So if you know, is it bison? The interesting thing about bison to me is that bison go head into storms. Most mammals will flee away from storms.
My behind is going backwards.
They will flee away from bad weather. Bison will go into the storm. Why? Because somewhere in their spirit, they know that storm is finite and it's going to end, and the fastest way through the storm is straight through it. Wow. And if we took that perspective when we hit our storm, I think we'd be better off. And that's not just for young business owners.
That's just for people in general.
That's just for people in general.
But that's a good point. I like where you use that. I'm gonna have to use that. I'm stealing that. I'm just
you got it. So the second, so that's the second thing I'd say. Just be resilient and know that when you're about to hit it, go hard. And the last thing I'd say is that expect that you're not going to be given anything, and therefore, when you are, it's like a windfall. Like there will be times that people will bless you in your entrepreneurial life where something will fall in your lap. We were nurturing a client or a prospect for the last, 3 years. They hit us this week with, I don't know how much this is going to cost. You give us a number. It's kind of yours to lose. Now, it's still ours to lose. We ain't won it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and claim that it's going to be ours. But we spent 3 years talking to these people, 3 years, and then they finally come with something that we didn't work for and something that we were not expecting to win. When that comes, we're going to celebrate that because that was a windfall. That landed in our plate without it. But I didn't have the expectation that was coming, which meant I had to grind through it regardless. So I think those will be the 3 points that I would have. You know, make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. Make sure you've got that longevity mindset that says, hey, I'm going to be resilient and I'm going to go through it and I'm going to head into that storm. And then after that, don't expect people to get back to bartering and asking people. Don't expect any of that stuff. Just go get what you got coming. Work hard for it. Create your separation and go hard for it.
Let the church say amen.
Hey, Ryan,
This is good stuff, man. This Ryan, man. Appreciate you being on. We got to get Alex on here next.
Hey, Ryan, you need to be on speaker, man.
Alex likes to talk too.
We got to get him on here. I think
he can say anything.
I'll be hitting you up tomorrow.
I'm not scared to take in information.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I'm soaking it in right now.
Yeah.
No,
this was good,
I'm learning
man.
from y'all too.
This is good, man. So like, stuff like this is important, man. And I'll most definitely be hitting you up tomorrow to see if we can get him on here sometime soon. But to close out, you know what I mean? What I'm gonna do, and we started doing this early, and I kind of let it slip. But I'm gonna end with always a quote from one of our more esteemed gentlemen, in regards to black excellence, things like that. So Marcus Garvey is going to be the brother I'm going to quote today. And he has a quote that says, "A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." So, you guys do with that what you will, but I think that's very key.
You might want to repeat that one more time.
Repeat
that one more time.
They
might not got it the first time.
A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture, it's like a tree without roots. So, if you don't know who Marcus Garvey is, you need to get hip to the game quickly, because that brother, when he was alive, he was able to do some amazing things in regards to black economics. So look up the Black Star Line.
If you don't know your history, like he said.
Yeah. So
you don't have no roots.
Appreciate everybody on. We are on YouTube now. All our past episodes are on there with no video though. With no video. This is the first one that we go do. We got some video on there and a lot of really good information here. Black businesses, please feel free to reach out to us if you watch this on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow the podcast, Apple Podcast, make sure you follow the podcast. And if you're on Instagram, please make sure you follow and make sure you check out my brother Ryan's company. If you need help in regards to your marketing strategies, things like that, feel free to reach out to him, and his information will most definitely be included in this.
Prominently displayed.
Yes, prominently displayed. Yes. Amen, Reggie. So appreciate y'all. This was lovely. This was beautiful. We are black, and we were excellent today.
Why don't you show them the inside of that suit real quick?
I don't know if you can see it.
Show them the inside of that suit real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all can see that on the camera. The Cavalier Convos. You know what I'm saying? Hey. Yeah, see.
This is custom. All right. So, but yeah, man. So we were black. We were born black, but we decided to be excellent today, man. And and that's our mantra here, man. The convalescence of black men, the repairing of black manhood and black masculinity. This is what this podcast is about. And we appreciate Ryan for being here. And we will be back with more. And he will be back again because, this dude is dropping gems, man. So hope you're picking them up.
Discuss a lot of things, Ryan.
Yeah. So God bless everybody, man. Stay safe out here in these streets, and we will be back with more.
Shout out to the executives and
executive producer Mike Ely and videographer my brother Quan, man, who did an excellent job tonight, and appreciate y'all fellas. So good night, good day. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, whenever and wherever you are watching. And peace, yo. God bless.
612 out.
612.
612 out.